High school, Lincoln High School in Seattle, Marine Corps. Went in 1966, was in Vietnam 67, 68. Came home, went to the Burnley School of Professional Art in Seattle. It was a great school. The charity project that I started prior to the Fallen Hero Project was I'd be working with somebody like Katharine Hepburn or Betty Davis or Gregory Peck or somebody like that, any major star or athlete, you know. And I'd be giving them their original, and what they would do is then sign blank illustration boards for me, and I'd redraw those portraits for charities around the country. I've done 7 presidents and first ladies, a pope, 3 prime ministers. In fact, if you name an A-lister, I've probably done their portrait, from Katharine Hepburn, like I said, to Gregory Peck and Tom Cruise. In 2003, a piece was done on a local TV station that went national eventually. They had decided that I had raised over $10 million with those portraits because nobody was doing that. I received a call one day from Cherise Johnson. She was in Boise, Idaho, and she'd just seen me on TV. And she said, your work's beautiful. She said, how much would you charge me to draw a picture of my husband? She said he was a corpsman and he died last year in Iraq. So I said to her, I can't charge you. I said, I'm a Marine Vietnam vet. Corpsmen are the bravest people I've ever seen and known. I said, just send me the picture. His name was Michael Johnson. And I did the portrait and sent it back to her. I got a call from her. She said, when my husband died last year, she said, everybody that's loved me is taking care of me. But she said, in a year, she said, I haven't slept one full night's through. Yesterday, she said, I got your picture of my husband, Michael, and I pulled it out of the envelope and looked into his eyes and reconnected instantly. She said, I talked to him for a few hours, just about everything we hadn't been able to finish. She says, everything. We cried. It was incredible. And she says, and at the end of the conversation, I looked at him and I said, I love you. I looked at your drawing and said, I love you. And she says, I felt him say he loved me back and that he was okay. She says, I'm only calling you for one reason. And I said, what is that? And she says, I'm calling to say thank you. She said, because last night's the first night in a year I've slept all night. You know, I do these drawings. There's no politics in what I do. It's just about love and respect. I do the best I can. I really do work hard. And I really have given all we have to do this work. And I think all of that translates into the product. If you're honest with yourself and you're honest with your work, I think that shows up in the quality of your work. I'm not thinking about money when I'm doing the work anymore. Now I'm doing them for nothing for these folks. People I don't know who have nothing to give me other than their trust, which turned out to be incredibly important to me, right? And they get the best there is of me, and truth and honesty and focus. This project and the sacrifices made by so many people have made me whole again. My commercial work made me famous. My fallen hero work makes me complete. I'd rather be complete. In 16 years, we've done 6,200 free fallen hero portraits, and people who don't know me and don't know each other all come up with the same thing. And I don't pretend to understand all of this, but they'd say, you brought my son home, or you brought my daughter home, or you brought my husband home, or that's why I do it. I learn about who I'm going to work with. I pull a board, my pencils, turn on my music, get my coffee. Usually I have a cat visiting, right? And I sit down at my drawing table in the other room and just start working. And whatever ends up showing up 7 hours later goes in an envelope that I mail back to the family. Crescent board has been the surface that I've used for 50 years. When I was in art school back in 1968, right? I'm sure one of my teachers said, here, use this. And I remember getting my hands on some, I believe, 300 illustration board cold press, and I loved it. I was able to control it. You know, as I was learning how to do my stuff, right, and get that fender to look like a fender, or get that eye to look like an eye, or to get that animal to look like an animal, right? The surface I was using was Crescent board, right? So I had a safe surface that all I had to learn was how to put and to apply my materials to the top of that surface to make it do what I wanted it to do. If it hadn't been for that surface and me understanding what I could do on it, I probably wouldn't be doing this. The 300, 100 cold press illustration boards, I love them. They have a lot of tooth. I'm a pencil guy, and I don't eliminate the tooth when I do my work. I use the tooth. What the board allows is, the 100 board anyway, allows me to still do some of that engraving. When you're engraving with a 2B pencil, you really are making a shadow in the picture. You want it. But when you create that shadow and you actually create the three-dimensional feel to it, because I really do that, as the light changes across the board, so do the shadows. You have to have a lot of confidence to be able to risk yourself every day. I do that. But I have the confidence. But the reason I have the confidence is because I know my materials, but it's the product that makes me confident. When I sit down in front of that drawing table at 2 o'clock in the morning, pouring rain outside, might be cold, and I'm looking into the face of a young man who doesn't exist anymore, and his mom wants him home, or his wife or husband wants them home. Okay? I'm confident that's what I'm going to do, and in the morning I'll mail it because of the product I'm used to working with is in my hands now to do that work.